Welcome to the RebelGrove.com Instant Analysis. Chase Parham and Neal McCready here after Auburn 20, Ole Miss 14 from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. Sorry, I forgot the stadium name for a second. We will be back quickly after this video with hand raise guys for the night. We'll take your calls and discuss a lot more detail for the game, but kind of, Neal, as we do this quick version here to talk just football. Ole Miss defensively made a lot of plays, forced Auburn into a lot of empty possessions, gave it the Rebels every chance to win a football game tonight. But another game, another week, another outing where Ole Miss has no rhythm offensively, can't figure out exactly what they want to do. It doesn't look right. They can't get the plays when they need them. They have mistakes when there are some opportunities there from a schematic standpoint. And another week where offensively the game was lost for Ole Miss in a game that what turns out to be very winnable.
Yeah, game turned out to be very winnable. Auburn didn't play particularly well. Auburn was a little flat. Auburn had a couple of defensive starters out. They were, you could tell, trying to sort of just get to the open date. Brian Matthews, really his analysis on Friday morning on the Oxford Exxon podcast was dead on. Give him credit. I mean, he nailed it. Yeah, Ole Miss had one drive offensively. They had one drive that made sense. And it was a Plumlee drive, and he made some throws, and he did some things. The first 3.5 quarters, though, was kind of mind-numbing how bad it was. The play calling, I thought, on the offensive end was bad. It really made no sense. I don't know how many times Rich Rodriguez can ask John Rice Plumlee to roll to his right and throw to his right, running to his right, and then get upset when the ball is wildly erratic. It happened. It happened again and again and again. Ironically, on the final drive, when they scored, he made that throw. So maybe that was the point. I know you can make it. I'm going to keep pushing it. Felt like you pushed it too much.
Yeah, it feels like a game. It feels like a season, frankly, where Rodriguez, every single week they show him frustrated in the press box, show him throwing his hands up and different things. But at some point, you're putting players in positions to either be able to do things they can do or they can't do. And maybe you're seeing it in practice. We don't see that. I don't know. In the next game, my coach will be my first.
Sure.
But we have eyes, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't look cohesive. It does not look like there's any rhythm at all. And it looks like it's Groundhog Day where over and over and over again the guys are making the same mistakes on the same plays.
In fact, Chase, at one point, and look, I'm reading lips, and maybe I missed it. Okay, so I'll freely admit that maybe I'm wrong. It looked like he said it's a 5-yard out route. I don't know whether he's referring to the receiver not running the right route or whether he's referring to his quarterback not making that throw. But we've been doing this a while. We're 9 games in now. Corral might as well not be part of the offense anymore. He might as well not be part of the team anymore. He's not playing anything resembling significant snaps. He is the type of quarterback that if you ask him to play that limited amount, he's not going to be
He's a rhythm
effective.
passer. He's a guy that has to be able to – you've got to live with the positives and the negatives of Matt Corral. We talked about this when he was just a starter early in the season, in the preseason, is, hey, he's going to have some gunslinging characteristics to him. He's going to make some big plays. He's going to do a lot of right things and wrong things. But you've got to have a big sample size for Matt Corral. Matt Corral is a big sample size quarterback, and you're not doing that. Through 3 quarters tonight, or at least maybe a couple plays into the fourth quarter, he was 3 for 6 for 13 yards. That was it.
Yeah,
3 for 6 for 13. That's not Matt Corral's game.
No.
His game is to get more action than that. And this is not about which quarterback. This is simply on how to effectively use Matt Corral.
Agreed completely. I mean, look, if the decision has been made to go with Plumlee, we've talked about this, then the decision has been made. You're better off just not playing Corral at all if that's the decision that you've made. If the decision that you're making is to try to appease Matt Corral enough for him not to get into the transfer portal or something, that's another matter entirely. And I have absolutely no knowledge whether Corral does or does not want to explore his options. If I'm him effective tonight, I'm at least listening. I'm at least thinking about it. I have questions after tonight. Now, on the flip side of the ball, let's give some credit. The job that Mike McIntyre has done with this defensive unit. I mean, you wonder, like Wesley McGriff standing on the Auburn sideline thought, how in the hell did you pull this off? Because I could have never done it. They were really good. They gave up a lot of rushing yards, but they were on the field a ton. I don't have the stats in front of me. Maybe you do. Time of possession had to be outrageously.
They got tired. They're not a deep team. but there was one or two busts the entire game. They were where they were supposed to be, and they made enough plays to force Carlson into 3 missed field goals, to force some turnovers, and frankly missed 2 opportunities for turnovers that would have changed the entire complexion of the football game.
Keaton Smith dropped an interception.
And then the ball on the goal line, the fumble that rolls all around right there when Bo Nix was going into the end zone, or the running back was going into the end zone, whomever it was.
And then Shepard had a really dumb penalty.
And we'll be talking about this all night. I want to close here with the part where we're just talking football, though. In some ways, because this is going to stay a big picture conversation. It's going to stay a big picture conversation tonight, next week, the next week, and the next week, all the way through the Egg Bowl. In some ways, Matt Luke, from a PR standpoint, from a fan standpoint, more harmed by this result than had it been 43-10. Because it came back into coaching again. It came back into little things, inches, as Al Pacino would say. You know what I mean? It was one of those deals where the game could have been swung either way. If you go get blitz 43-10, okay, anybody could have done that. There's nothing you can do about it. But another one-possession game, another having the ball at the end of the game to go down and win a game, didn't do it. It's one more. Look, this game should never have been a coin flip. Give Ole Miss credit. They played their asses off.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it almost became one, and it's another kind of black mark on the resume from that standpoint.
They've lost 6 games now. There's one that we never talk about.
Alabama.
No one talks about it. It's cool.
Who cares?
Understood.
Yeah.
The other ones, you talk about them in varying degrees. And this was a game, look, their freshman quarterback, Bo Nix.
He was just okay.
I'm sure he's a fine young man.
Yeah.
But he's average on good drives.
Mm-hmm.
He's below average frequently, and he looks like a freshman most of the time. And I do think Malzahn calls a pretty good game. He comes up with some creative calls, puts him in some good spots. But they were there to be taken tonight. They lost. I mean, they missed 3 field goals, had mistakes. It was there. And yet again, Ole Miss can't pull it off. I give the kids credit. They're now 3-6, and they just play hard.
They do.
I'll give them credit. And I'll give the coaches credit for motivating the kids to play hard. But at some point, and I don't know when that point is. I don't know if it's this month, if it's a year from this month. I don't know when that is. At some point, there are no moral victories in this league. At some point, you have to win these games. And if next September, when Auburn and Ole Miss meet again in Oxford, frankly, we're going to be getting to that point of the tenure, if the tenure's still going, where you're going to have to win this one. That's where they are. We're running out of.
If he doesn't beat Mississippi State, I'm putting LSU in the loss column. If he doesn't beat Mississippi State, 3-15 against SEC West through 3 years.
It's hard to sell that.
You beat State once and Arkansas twice.
Yeah. It's hard to sell that. You're beating an Arkansas team that has not won an SEC game now in
2 years.
2 full seasons. So it's difficult to. There's a lot to get to. We'll get to it tonight on Hand Raise Guys. We'll talk a lot. We'll take your calls. But a lot of the questions you have, quite frankly, we have them too.
Yeah, so that's our main thoughts going in. Again, Auburn 20, Ole Miss 14 from Jordan-Hare Stadium. So check all our coverage at rebelgrove.com. Come back for Hand Raise Guys, and we'll talk to you again soon.